We're going to be assembling the Microbug, and this is the circuit board. This is the top side of the circuit board. This is the bottom side. On the top side, this is where we're going to be putting in the components, and each component has its own drawing on here. So this one says R2. This is where you would put resistor number 2. And this one says T1. That's where you would put transistor number 1. So you would slide them in on this side, and then you would flip it over, and on this side solder it. You can see the copper circles. That's where you're going to apply your solder, and the wire will be sticking out the side. You'll apply the solder to the wire and the copper circle to get a good connection. So the first thing that we're going to do is step number 1, and that's the resistors. And we're going to be doing resistor R1, R2 right here, R4, and R5. And they are asking us to use the 100 ohm resistors. That's these right here. It's the set of 4. And what you're going to do is cut off the paper using your pliers. Like that. So now I have 4 resistors. You bend the resistor close to the body, like that. So it said R1, so I'm going to put it in R1. Alright. I'm going to bend the second one. And this one's R2. Which is right here. This one's R4. And R5, which is right here. So I'm going to put some tape down over the resistors on this side just to hold them in place. Makes the soldering a little bit easier. And I'm going to place the circuit board down, but I'm going to put a piece of tape across it to hold it in place too. That'll make everything a little bit easier. I'm going to straighten out my wires so that they're not interfering with each other. So the first one I'm going to heat. Oops, and apply. Heat and apply. Heat and apply. Heat and apply. Heat. Oh, that one didn't turn out good. And one more. So that makes 8 soldering joints that I just did. Alright, so you should check them and make sure that they are good joints. And all of these look pretty good. Take off my tape. Now I'm going to snip the wires close to the top of the volcano of, I guess if you call this a volcano, the solder that you just applied, near the top of that. Just snip them right off. Alright, that's what you should have right now. That's the first 4 resistors. Next, we're going to be doing the 220 ohm resistor. And that's this one and this one. And see it says red, red, brown, red, red, brown. Resistors, you can put them in, there's no polarity to them, so it doesn't matter if you put them in one way or another. Okay, so these are going to be R3 and R6. So here's R3 and R6. And slide them in. Okay. Some tape. Flip it over. Tape it down. Straighten out the wires a little bit. It makes it easier. Alright, tin my tip, and then here we go. Solder. So heat, apply, heat, apply, heat, heat. And I'm going to clip the same way I did the first ones. And this is what it should look like now. You have 6 resistors in. Now we're on step 2. That's the LDR. That's the light dependent resistor. There are 2 of those. 1 and 2. This is what they look like. Alright. One goes here, LDR 1, LDR 2. So it's the same drill. You don't even have to bend it this time, you just get it put in. Now they don't want you to put it all the way down because we're going to bend it over if you look on your instruction sheet. So I'm going to hold it here, and let me just look at the front and make sure I have about the right amount sticking out. Okay, they have it right down on the thing. So about this much, and bend it over. Okay? And then the other one. Take it this way and bend it over. Alright. I lost my sticky tape. It's my sticky tape to hold it down. And now I'm going to double check that they're in the right position. Alright, so here we go. We go heat, apply. Oops. Heat. Apply. Uh-oh, that one may be touching. Heat. Heat. You snip off the ends. I'm going to do a double. You're doing singly or double, whatever you're comfortable with. Next we're going to do the switch. The switch looks like this. Alright. It's an on-off switch. There are 3 holes, 1, 2, 3. So you just put the 3 prongs in and you line up the square box. That's simple. Put your piece of tape over it. Flip it. And tape this down. And I don't see the prongs sticking out, so let me see what happened here. Make sure it's flush. There we go. So I do heat, apply, heat. I cannot see a thing here. You guys will do a much better job. I can hardly see because I'm too old. Apply. Whoops, that one was big and messy. Heat and apply. Okay. Whoops, that one didn't turn out well. So let me redo that one. And that one's big too, but I will have to use a magnifying glass. If they're not touching, they're good to go. Next, we're on number 4 now. So we are going to be putting in the transistors. Okay, this is a transistor here. It has the 3 legs coming off of it. It has one flat side and the other is rounded. So I just realized that my phone ran out of memory, so steps number 4 and 5 didn't get recorded as I did them, but I can talk you through. So step 4 is the transistors. There are 4 transistors that you're going to solder into your circuit board. 2 of them, they have different numbers on them. 2 of them end in 547, and the other 2 end in 557. So by looking on the flat side of the transistor, you can find the number. So find the 2 that end in 47. Those you'll put into T1 and T3. So if you notice there are 3 legs, what you have to do is you have to pull out that 3rd wire to kind of make a triangular shape so that it goes into the back hole here. The front of your circuit board has a line that corresponds to the flat side of the transistor. So go ahead and put in T1 and T3. When you push the transistor down, it won't go all the way down to the circuit board. Just push it down until you feel resistance. Push it down very gently, and it'll go in about that far, and that's good enough. Alright? Now transistor 557 will be T2 and T4, so you do the same thing. You bend that middle wire back so that it fits into the holes, and you line up the flat surface of the transistor with the straight line on your circuit board. So once you get them in, you can flip it over and solder the joints, and then use your clippers to trim off the ends of the wires. Now the other part that did not get recorded was the resistor trimmer. That's the blue piece. There should be 2 blue pieces and 2 of these black knobs. And on the blue pieces, one side of the blue piece is silver and the other side is all blue, pretty much. So you want the black knob to, you just push the black knob into the blue side of the trimmer. Then the trimmer goes on RV1 and RV2, here and here. And you just put them in. They won't go flush because there's pieces that prevent it from going flush against the board, and that's okay. Then you flip it over, go ahead and solder your joints, and then trim them. So next, we're going to do step 6, which is the LEDs. Now, if you notice with the LEDs, there's a long leg and a short leg. Flip this one over. Oops. Okay. The reason why there's a long leg and a short leg is because LEDs have polarity, and they only go in one direction. The electricity can only flow through them in one direction. So it's important to make sure that you get the short end into the hole that it's supposed to be in, and the long one into the hole that it's supposed to be in, the positive and the negative. The shorter of the 2 legs, which is this one, is the negative side, and it's called the cathode. And the longer is the anode, and it's the positive. Okay, so positive and negative, negative, positive. So if you're doing a project and you get finished and it doesn't work, that is like the number 1 thing to go check out is the polarity. Anything that has polarity, go check and make sure you got it in the right way. It's so easy to get it wrong. All right, so here's our bug, and they're gonna go here and here. Can you see? All right, and so the short side, which is the negative side, is going to go into the black. Hopefully. All right, so I stick both these in here, and you know what? I am just going to double check this before, because like I said, it is a pain to have to undo, and I think these are going to stick out like a little antenna. Yeah, alright, so we're not going to push them down that far is what the picture. So let me just check this. Cathode, which is the shorter of the 2, and it's the negative. The cathode goes into the black. So, do I have that right? Yes. Just double check yours right now too. Alright, so these are the little antenna, and I'm going to make mine, you bend it out a little bit like this. This is not going to be easy to solder because it's a weird bend. Alright, cute little antennas. Alright, let's see if I can do this without tape or do I need tape. That looks good. Stick it to the bench. Alright, so now I'm just eyeballing it from underneath. I'm not going to tape it because I'm being lazy right now. But if you want to tape yours, go ahead. I'm going to tape this one up a little bit from underneath. That one. And maybe I'll just do that for this one too so it doesn't move around. Heat. Apply. Heat. Apply. Whoops. Uh-oh. That one looks kind of messy. Let me get my glasses up here. Alright, heat. Apply. Uh-oh. That happens. Not good, but heat. Apply. Next part we're going to do is actually number 8, and it's the battery holder. Okay, so there seems to be a problem with the size of the screw head. What's going on is, let me see my pencil. I'll just use this. Here, see the ridges here and here that separate the two batteries? The distance from here to here is not wide enough for the screw head to fit down in. At least on mine it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break away a little bit of this divider so that the screw head needs to fit flush down against the bottom of the battery holder. What was happening is there wasn't enough room to even get my nut onto the screw. So check yours and see if you can get yours to go flush. It needs to be flush with the bottom. Mine, the ridges are in the way, so I'm going to cut away a little bit of the ridges. Alright, here's the battery holder. I've cut out the ridge line that was interfering with the screw head. So now the screw head will fit down there a little better. It's not quite flush, but that's because it's the type of screw that it is. I'm going to put it onto the board. Add the washer, and then add the screw. Okay. You can probably do this with your finger. I'm going to tighten it with the pliers. Alright. Then what we do with these two wires here, we have the red positive side, the black negative. So go ahead and push the end of your wire through. Alright, and those look like they will stay. Alright, and now we're going to solder. This is the red wire. Black wire. Now we're on step 9. You're going to take this part right here, a diode, and then this plastic tubing. Thread it in. This is going to be the, I guess, the front wheel of the bug. It's going to go, one wire will go in here, one wire will go here, and the other wire there, so we need to bend them. It's going to be a little wider of a bend than the resistors that we did, so I'm going to kind of just measure and see where I need to bend it. Maybe there is what I'm thinking. actually going to go in from underneath, and I didn't bend it. Oops. Let's try that. That seems to work. All right. Now I will solder it on this side again. Take this down. And flatten it and make it, you know, parallel to the ground, I guess. Huh. I'm going to solder each side. This will be just to hold it in place. Alright, good. I'm going to clip the top of the wheel here, but just don't clip the negative and positive wires that go to your battery pack. Be careful, because it would be easy enough to do. So we're going to talk about the negative and the positive terminals. So they're saying the red dot is the negative. Alright, if I would have done this, I would have made the red dot the positive, because red is usually positive. So, but they're saying red is negative. So this is the negative terminal, this is the positive terminal. You have two motors. Alright. What we're going to do first is you're going to take the file and you're going to rough up the edges of the motor side. So go ahead and do this with all four of your motors. I've filed each side of the motor. Now they stick together because they're magnetic. Here's the end that's going to be touching the ground, so that will be underneath the bug. It'll be this way. And if you remember, our red dot is the negative, so we're going to put the red dot over here. I don't know if you can see, here's a positive terminal right here. It says positive. So this motor will go here, and then this motor will go the opposite way. And it'll slide in, and it goes at an angle. And here's the positive, so positive is the non-red dot. Alright, so the motor's going to go in. Alright, I have it backwards, this way. There's the positive. See the little plus sign on your circuit board? It should be opposite of where the red dot is. And you want to you want to angle it, so you want to push it against the side like that. Alright, there's one. I will go ahead and solder this one. What you're going to do, actually, I think I would prefer to have it positioned this way. I'm going to lay a line of solder along the motor and this copper line on both sides. So I'm tinning my tip of my Uh-oh, I'm gonna have to fix that. That will be... I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, but make sure that your motor, that the red dot is on the opposite side. So this is the positive here, so I want my red dot on this side. I'll put it in at an angle. I'm going to tape it. Alright. And the same thing, solder here and on this side. I don't know if you can see. Alright, a bit more. So that takes care of your motors. So this is what the Microbug should look like now. We just put in the motors. The next step are what they call these jumper wires. So you're going to cut off the paper and you'll have 4 jumper wires. Jumper wires are going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. What you're going to do is from underneath, you're going to thread your wire up from underneath, and this one has the positive. I don't know if you can see positive, and there's a little line going to this motor. So that would correspond to the positive terminal here. So I'm going to push this one up through, and then I'm going to thread it. I'm going to thread it through this. This could be difficult. Thread it through this terminal. I'm going to wrap the wire down and around. See, I've kind of hooked it onto the end of the terminal. Alright, so that one stays. The second wire, push it through the bottom. This one's going to go to the other engine, to the negative terminal. I'm going to thread it through. Okay, bend it over. This one still has some paper on it. Thread it through. This one corresponds to the negative on the first motor that we did. Oops. There it goes. the fourth wire through the hole, and this goes to the positive terminal. If you're having trouble seeing what wire goes where, just call me over and I'll help you with that, because it's probably too small to see on camera. Alright, so that one's bent over. Next step is to solder the wire jumpers to the terminals. So all of the terminals have been soldered, and on this side I'm going to straighten out the wires. Makes it easier to solder. To pin it down. We're going to solder each wire in place now. Alright, so clip the ends of your wires. And we are basically finished. Test it now by putting in the batteries and turning it on. The last step will be putting on this piece of rubber hose here. We'll be cutting off a piece and putting it on the end of the motor here, and this is like its legs, so we'll do that last. But for now, let's see if this thing works. Alright, good. So away it goes. So in the picture they show, well, they say cut 5 millimeters, which is a very tiny amount. I don't know why they would give us this much of the tubing. So I'm thinking about cutting a little bit bigger than 5 millimeters. And tell you what, I will do this and then figure out what is the best length, and then we'll go from there, okay?